Hey guys, hey! So today is day 9 out of post-op band removal, and I'm still kind of sick and still kind of bloaty and still feel kind of crappy, but that's okay. I'm about to head for a shower here soon, so excuse the hot mess that is happening right now. If you are new to my channel, nice to meet you. I am going through a lot right now. Today I'm going to be talking about complications. I'm also going to be talking about revision surgery since, I happen to be going through yet another revision. So the first thing I want to talk about, guys, is I'm going to start talking about revisions. And how do you know that you need a revision and, and that kind of stuff. So as most of you may know, this will be my second revision surgery after having my gastric bypass, so I'll give you a little bit of information about me personally, and then we'll kind of go through the rest of it. So I had gastric bypass in 2013, August the 20th, at 464 pounds. I was able to get my surgery with minimal issues, but I had strictures. So having strictures was actually probably one of the worst things ever, because they wouldn't believe me when I told them I wasn't getting in water and I wasn't able to eat. So just like this here, which is my protein shake, which is what I was drinking after surgery, it would take me over an hour to get a cup of that down because I had a really teeny tiny stricture. I will add a little picture of my stricture and how big they opened it at the very end of this video, so you'll see that before you see the credits. So I had 2 strictures in the bottom of my pouch, and unfortunately, it took them 2 weeks of me constantly telling them, hey, I'm not able to eat, I'm not able to drink. My kidneys were starting to shut down because I'd become severely dehydrated, and I eventually had to be admitted. So I have pictures of me being admitted because my kidneys and everything started shutting down from not having any liquid in me because I was not able to drink water or anything. And finally they were like, oh, well, maybe we need to go fix this. So they gave me an EGD, which is an endoscopy. Yuki! I have to yell at my dog as per usual. So they gave me an endoscopy, which is also what it's called. And when I had that done, they fixed the stricture with a little balloon, and they dilated it. But it wasn't good enough. My body heals really quickly, so, even though they had opened the stricture, I was only 2 weeks out of gastric bypass, so my stomach was still healing, and then it went about the same amount again. It went down to it almost closed up again. So weirdly enough, I lived that way for about 2 months. Finally, I was having what I thought was a heart attack. I was having a lot of issues with my this horrible, god-awful pain. I thought I literally was having a heart attack one night, because every time I would eat chicken or I would have anything besides my shake, I would try to eat cheese or anything with fat in it, or anything with a high acidity, or anything that required my body to break down. It would cause horrible, horrible pain. And I thought I was dying one night, and went to the ER, and they found out that I had a 4-centimeter gallstone blocking my bile duct, and that I needed emergency surgery. So the first thing I'll kind of talk about is what it was like, the pain that it was like. It was a burning, and it was a clenched, a lot of pressure on my chest every time I would eat something that required my body. So your gallbladder, it's main function is to produce bile and enzymes that help break down your food. So after having weight loss surgery and losing so much fat, a lot of the times what happens is that your body can't process as much fat as you're losing, and you end up having little stones in your gallbladder. And it's common. It's super common. So don't freak out if you're told that you have gallstones. So I actually had this gallstone before my gastric bypass, but it was small enough to where they felt like, oh, you know, we don't need to take out your gallbladder. Unfortunately, I had lost about 40 some odd pounds, and just those 40 some odd pounds was enough to build up more fat on that gallstone and produce some more, that it was blocking my bile duct. So that's why mine had to come out, and the emergency of it was because it was inflamed and it was going to burst. There was a backup of bile and waste and stuff in my gallbladder because the big stone was blocking where it would normally come out, and that's where that pain came from. It was horrible pain. Like I said, a lot of pressure in down here, and I literally thought, you know, I couldn't breathe, and it hurt so bad until I would vomit and get rid of whatever was in there, so my gallbladder would stop trying to produce more bile to get rid of it. Now, having said this, you don't need your gallbladder. I'm not telling you to get it ripped out, you know, but technically you don't need your gallbladder for anything. Just like spleen, you don't really need your spleen. You don't really need both kidneys. You know, there are some things that you can get rid of if you actually had to, that won't have a lot of negative side effects, and your gallbladder is one of them. So they removed my gallbladder, and I instantly felt better. I instantly could eat all kinds of things, and I was like, oh, praise the Lord Jesus, thank you, thank you, thank you, because as soon as that sucker came out, I was eating whatever I wanted, which, you know, was a blessing and a curse, because before they took that out, like, anytime I would try to eat anything, let's say, not exactly on the bariatric diet, I'd get super sick. So, you know, at first I thought this, Yuki, no. I'm going to yell at my dog the whole time. No. Stop that. Sorry. These are so professional in my jammies and me screaming at my dog. Welcome to Nirvana's life. So let's talk about other kinds of complications. So you're going to have gastric bypass, or you're going to have the sleeve, or you're going to have the DS, you're going to have SIPS, you're going to have the distal, or another kind of weight loss type E surgery. There are all kinds now. And you are going to run the risk of having all kinds of complications. Like, you know, it's just, you can't have a surgery and expect no complications. Come here. So you can't expect to come out squeaky clean and that nothing's ever going to be wrong and everything's going to be wonderful and life is going to be peachy keen, because that's not exactly what happens. So no matter what kind of surgery you have, you always have the thought of maybe something could go wrong, and things do. You can have a hiatal hernia from losing all that weight and picking up stuff. Some people have them like before they have their weight. Before they have their surgery. So some people have all kinds of like hernias and stuff like that they may or may not fix at the time of your surgery. Some people have them after surgery and have to go back in there and fix them, because when you have a hernia, that's kind of like a breach through the muscle wall, and your intestines can slip in there. And I've seen many of people with gastric bypass and the sleeve and stuff like that actually go through that. And that's actually what happened to my aunt that I told you guys that I wanted to talk about, is that she had a kink, which is where your intestines had twist, and they were unable to get that fixed without having to do some kind of surgery. So there are all kinds of things that can happen with these kinds of surgery, and you need to be honest with yourself, and you need to be aware that, you know, yes, things do happen, and you may need other surgeries to get them fixed later on down the line. So stomach pain is bad all around stomach pain, severe pain in your stomach, no matter what. Sorry, my nose is itching. Is bad all around. So if you're going to have some kind of weight loss surgery and you start having stomach pain, cramping, and stuff like that, it is always a good idea to go get yourself checked out. It is always a good idea. You know, you don't want to cry wolf 1,000 times, but you know when something is wrong to go have them checked out. I actually have a friend of mine who recently had to have exploratory surgery because she had a hernia and her kidneys went, not kidneys, whoa, that'd be interesting, but her intestines went through it and had to have that fixed. So another side effect of having this kind of stuff is that you may have ulcers. With a gastric bypass, you can create ulcers in your blind stomach. The blind stomach is the big part of your stomach that they attach, that they can't really get into or see unless they're go through your intestines and stuff to go inside of it. So there's that as well. You can have ulcers in your regular pouch that they may have to give you medicine for. They may have to cut out. Like there can be severe bleeding from that. You can have, if you start having heartburn after a gastric bypass, if you start having a ton of reflux when you've had the sleeve or the band, or in general, if you're having acid come up, you need to be on medication. Or you need to have that checked out because that can lead to a serious issue. That can lead to your esophagus being burnt. That could lead to ulcers in your pouch, ulcers near your esophagus. That can eventually lead to cancer. These are things that you have to think about. Like weight loss surgery is not an easy fix because it does cause certain complications if you're not on top of it, if you're not diligent, and if you're not willing to get checked. So, yes, ulcers are also a big thing. You can have complications like constipation. Constipation is super duper common with us in the weight loss surgery community, is that we get constipated a lot. So that's another one, I consider a complication. You have to, start using laxatives, or you may start having to use Benefiber or use Miralax or, something to help you. But, usually it's people who do not eat a lot of fiber and they don't drink enough water. That's usually where it comes from, so you got to get in your water. Another thing, skin issues. You could have rashes. You can have boils. You can have breakdown of the skin, necrosis. There's all kinds of things after losing a crap ton of weight that, it leaves a moist area of those creases and folds, especially if you're actually working out. You may need creams. You may need powders. You may need to use more deodorant. You may start to stink. Yeast infections in those areas, they smell. They don't smell good, girl. Like you may be stanky and you may need to get that checked out. And eventually you may need to have, skin surgery. But you do need to keep that dry with powders and other preventatives. So that's another complication of having weight loss surgery is, all that extra skin can actually pull on your organs like they were doing mine. They can give you a hernia. They can pull on your back and your shoulders and make you hurt. They can give you, skin infections, ingrown hairs, all kinds of terrible stuff. You wouldn't believe how, fat, while it's, filled, some people become severely depressed after weight loss surgery. That is a complication. All these hormones are stored in your fat. And then now you're rapidly losing all this weight, and the hormones are just being released super fast. So you become really depressed. Some people become manic. Some people become like really angry, fly off the handle for no reason. There are a lot of things that can happen. That's why they tell you, try not to get pregnant within the first year and a half. They tell you to try not to make big decisions like getting a divorce or, cutting all your hair off or buying a new house and stuff like that, because you're going through a lot of hormonal changes when you have weight loss surgery. You're dropping a ton of weight, and you kind of go wackadoo for a little while until those hormones kind of settle. Like I said, fat holds on to a lot of your extra hormones, and when they're being released, you do go a little wackadoo for a while. So, a year or so, or 3, like someone I know. That one hurt. So there were other complications that are not so, that are a bit more rare, but I'm not going to get into that today. What I am going to get into is talking about revision and when you should have your revision. In my opinion, I'm not a medical professional. I'm not your doctor. I cannot tell you what you need to do. I could tell you what I am choosing to do and why I am choosing to do it. I am almost 3 years out gastric bypass, as some of you may know. And I'm 311 or 312 pounds. I didn't weigh myself today, so I ain't sure. But I do know that that is not where I wish to be. And I did have the band over bypass over a year ago with hopes that it would help me get the rest of my weight off. I have a guy friend who had his band over bypass, and he is super skinny and looking awesome around the same time I did. But that just didn't happen for me. And I think, that for me was a big slap in the face that, hey, he could do it, but I couldn't. I also know some other people with the band that are able to lose, but that just wasn't me. That was just not in the cards for me, and I gave it over a year, and then all of a sudden I got sick, and my port was hurting more, and I had issues with the band, and it was time for it to come out. So it has come out. I'm 9 days out of having that out, and I have uniquely realized that I can eat any damn thing I want to, just like I could before it. Bread, if I wanted pasta, if I wanted rice, if I wanted potato chips, if I wanted cakes, candies, pies, if I wanted it, I could certainly have it, but I am diligently working on keeping myself in check and not eating a bunch of horrible stuff. For me today, I've had a shake and some coffee, and I got all my vitamins and a bottle of water. And so instead of going off the deep end and eating everything in sight, like, I'm still trying my best to eat well for me, because that's all I can do, really. Just because I have no restriction does not mean that I have, it doesn't mean that I have a clean slate and I could just eat whatever I want to because I have another surgery coming up. Because you know what? That surgery could be taken away from me. There might be something in my blood work. There might be something in, my doctor could change his mind. And then what? So for me, the lifestyle change is just because I can doesn't mean I should. And that's something you guys need to remember. Just because you can eat it doesn't mean you should. Revision is not something that you should take lightly. It is not something that you should count on, which I have seen a lot of people do. They're like, oh, well, if this one doesn't get all my weight off, I'll just go have this one done. And if this one doesn't, do exactly what I want it to, 5 years from now, I'll just go get the other one done. You should think about it, and the one that you're going to have the next will be a little harder. It'll, there are more complications with the next one down the line, and I don't wish what I go through on anybody. I really, really don't. And a lot of people they have that safety net of, well, if I fuck up, if I screw up on this next one, I can just go have this other surgery and it'll fix it, because that's not a good way to think about things. It really isn't. If you're going to have a revision, there are more complications to think about. There are more vitamin deficiencies. Oh, that's what I didn't get to talk about for the other complications. So vitamin deficiencies, you can end up in a hospital. Lots of people do. You can end up with a feeding tube down your nose. Lots of people do. You can end up with a constant port in your stomach. Lots of people do. There are protein deficiencies. There are iron deficiencies are really common, where you have to have your Lord help me, you have to have an IV infusion. There we go. Infusion was the word I was looking for. You have to have infusions. A lot of people don't take their vitamins, and I don't understand why, because who the hell wants to go into the hospital and realize that, your potassium is in the toilet, or your vitamin D is in the toilet, or your iron is in the toilet, and, they're like, oh, well, I forgot, or I didn't feel like it, or it was too many pills, or there are patches. There are all kinds of stuff that you can take and figure and do. If you're going to have weight loss surgery, it is your responsibility to keep up with your vitamins. It is your responsibility to make sure that you're taking what you're supposed to. And there is absolutely zero excuse for you not doing it. Zero. There are no excuses. 100% your fault. Your doctor gave you what you asked for, and it is your responsibility to take care of yourself afterwards. And I have zero sympathy for people who, I forgot to take my calcium, and but I've got osteoporosis. I forgot to take my iron, so now I have to go have infusions. I forgot to take my B's. And I don't have any energy, and I'm tired all the time, or I forgot to do, take all my D's, and I'm exhausted all the time, and I feel like shit. That is your issue. That is your problem, and, you reap what you sow. And I hate to put it that way, but that's how I feel about it. You reap what you sow. If you don't take care of yourself after having weight loss surgery, that is your fault, and your fault only. Because there are plenty of us out here who take our vitamins and do what we're supposed to when we still have issues. So I don't have any sympathy for somebody who just blatantly goes and has a weight loss surgery and expects a miracle and doesn't do what they're supposed to take care of themselves, and then all of a sudden wonder why they're having all these issues and cry about it all over Facebook and YouTube, why poor pitiful me. Well, that's why poor pitiful you, because you didn't do what you were supposed to, and that's what happens. That is what happens. So that's how I feel about that. Revision, this one is scarier for me than any of the other surgeries I've had, and that's just like I was telling somebody earlier, because it feels like I am taking a leap. I'm taking a huge leap of faith, and somebody said that there's a safety net down below, but I can't see it, so I have to take a leap and hope it's there. It is not something to take lightly, and I don't. I really, really don't. I don't take this lightly at all. I know that this could potentially hurt me. I know that there are all kinds of vitamin and protein deficiencies that can happen with this one, but I'm going to be very diligent, and I'm going to be having a lot of blood tests drawn, and anytime I feel like something is wrong, I will be in my doctor's office, trying to work on it, and I will be taking my vitamins like I'm supposed to, and just trying to do the best I can for me. I do not want to live over 300 pounds anymore. I have been eating the way, and working out constantly and doing what I thought would get me where I wanted to go, and my body's just not having it. My body is absolutely just not, it's not interested in getting below 300 and staying there. So a lot of people tell me this too, a lot of people would have quit by now and thrown their hands up and been like, oh, well, obviously there's nothing else I can do. But I'm not that kind of person. I want to see my goal. I want to be able to do I want to be able to run one day. I want to be able to climb mountains. I want to be able to do a lot of things that my weight won't allow me to right now. There's a lot of things that, it's going to be hard. It's going to be scary. It's going to take a lot of research and a lot of, eating and trying to figure out things. But this is the life and the path that I have chosen, and I have to lay in the bed that I've made, and I'm doing the very best I can. So that's all I can really say, is that I'm working on it one day at a time, one complication, one thing at a time. I'm just doing the very best I can for me, and I am not advocating anybody to go and get a surgeries or a surgery. I'm not telling anybody, or I'm not telling you that you should go get a revision. All I'm telling you is what my experience is and how things affect me, and hoping to God that I'm making the right decisions for me and mine, because I don't want to live like this anymore, and I don't think I should have to. I don't think I deserve to be severely overweight for the rest of my life. So the choice I made, and I can't wait for my next surgery. So my next surgery, we have not settled a date. I go talk to my surgeon on the 27th, so hopefully by then he'll see that I've healed, and with all promise, I hope to God that I have not gained a whole lot between now and then. I've cut my calories down because I no longer have the band, and I'm not working out, so I've just cut my calories down some to try to help out, and down my carbs in hopes of getting rid of some and not gaining anything. So if I can stay around this area at least until my next surgery, then I should be okay. My friend Isabel is about to have, Isabel is about to have surgery on Wednesday. She's going to have plastic surgery on her stomach. I would appreciate if you guys would give her some love and send out lots of prayers, and also for my aunt to continue to get some prayers, and I wouldn't mind some for me because I'm still feeling like but I'm doing the very best I can. And hopefully within the next couple of days, this cold will be gone. And I will be able to, on the 27th, maybe I'll be released to go back to the gym. We'll see. I'm still walking, but not as much as I was because I did overdo it. All right, guys, this has been 26 minutes and 37 seconds. I hope this video has helped somebody. I hope that you guys understand what the complications are, and I talked a little bit about my revision and why, and I hope that everybody's having a great start of your week. I love your beautiful, gorgeous, amazing faces. Please, if you have not subscribed to my channel, if you've made it this far, please do clicky the little red button. It takes about 2 seconds. I do multiple videos per week. If you have any questions or want me to make a video to help out in some way or somehow, something that's coming up that might need to be answered, you can always find me on Facebook if you would rather chat on me there. When I see your message, I will try to get back to you in a nice fashion. I also have Instagram. You can find me there. You can find me on Twitter, but I don't really use Twitter a whole hell of a lot because I don't particularly care for it. Facebook is my main modicum of communication. I love your faces, guys. I hope you guys are doing awesome, and I will talk to you probably tomorrow. Mwah! Bye.